All right, so all morning long I've been sanding all this crap that they put on the walls. Apparently they had stuck pictures on the walls with this stuff. Sticky little double-sided things. Oh my gosh, do not stick things on RV walls. Just leave them alone. Don't try to get creative. Don't try to do anything. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. All right, so I'm pretty good at painting because I've been doing this forever, but I found these really cool things that came in a package and I saved them for painting. And then I usually like to have a piece of cardboard with a really flat edge so you can kind of like wedge it down when you're painting the lower parts. I don't really use tape. I know that's probably terrible, but even to get into here, I just really tuck that in there and then I just slowly go with my brush. But I'm a good edger, so I don't know. Okay, so I chose to go with a shellac base. No matter what, you're not going to want to use a water base on any of this stuff because of this wood paneling behind the wall. If anything, use the oil base because the oil base isn't going to make this kind of sag. Like the water's going to try to seep behind this wallpaper and pull it off almost and seep into these walls. So you want to use a really good primer. Like I said, I usually would suggest oil base. I don't want to go with an oil base in here just because it's summer and it's hot and I have to breathe all this stuff in. Okay, so I am going to lightly use this scraper to get some of this sticky stuff off the wall and then re-sand it. Let me just put this out there. I don't suggest that anybody who has no experience in doing any of this stuff touches these walls with a scraper. Like, you're just going to make it even worse. And actually, on that note, don't paint your RV walls. If they're fine, leave them. You may think that because you've Pinterest enough things that you know how to do this. I've been doing this for probably almost 15 years. And I still don't want to do it. I don't want to paint it. Don't try to get over superly creative. Like, oh, I Pinterest how to paint my RV. You're going to ruin the value. It's stupid, stupid, stupid. Just leave it alone. This does not look bad. It doesn't. Just leave it alone. Simple is best, girls. Okay, so the next step I'm going with right here, this is a lightweight joint compound. I suggest this for anything, any sort of little patching. If somebody punches a hole in the wall, get a wall patch, especially the one that you can use. It's like a cement wall patch, and then you spray it down, let that dry, and then you can use this lightweight joint compound over it. This is another thing I don't suggest, especially if you don't have any sort of experience with doing this stuff, but I have to do it. These walls are just jacked, so I'm kind of picky, so I'm going to fill in these areas. See how they're, the lip, you can almost see it. It's more magnified in this, but it's actually pretty flat. So I'm going over it with this. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm taking big glops. And I'm going over this. This is why I don't buy that cheap spackle stuff at the store that's like, oh, quick fix. Don't buy that. Just buy the lightweight joint compound. So I'm going to like really cover it up here. Now I'm almost going to let these areas dry down where I'm putting all this. And then I'm going to show you how I kind of get the texture of the same wall. But for me, I like to just get it really thick on here and just let it dry for probably about 10 minutes before you do anything with it. Just wanted to point out that it's super humid today. I don't know if you can see out here, but there are clouds in the sky. It's always humid in Texas. What am I saying? I've got this at 82. When I start to paint, I'm probably going to bump it up to about 85. Anyway, I've got this on the wall and it's looking pretty gloppy, but like I said, just leave this for about 10 minutes. Let it like somewhat harden. Not all the way, obviously, just let it harden. Another tip, do everything in a box. Paint in a box, spackle in a box, do everything in a box, because I am careful, but I still get stuff on the floor and everywhere else. This is the easiest possible way to do it. So this seam on the wall, I've sanded it down as far as I can get it, but I'm going to end up having to spackle the entire seam all the way up because there's just no way around it because there was a big piece of it missing right here. So I'm spackling this seam and I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. You guys are going to love this one. This is called Use Your Finger. Now in RVs, it is tough because you got areas that are so tiny that you've got to get in. And in this situation, there's no way a scraper is going to fit in here. So I'm basically just going to take my finger, I'm going to glop this in, and I'm seriously going to just run it down into this. Oh, this is hard to do and to show you guys what I'm doing, but Hopefully it'll help other people avoid mistakes making videos like these. This is the real way, not the foofy way. You see you have this mess. Now you're going to take the flat end and you're almost going to just run it up. Now see how it's doing that? You're going to have to try to get that as even as possible so it almost looks like a wall again. See? This is the hard part, and you may have to go a couple different ways to get that real smooth finish. Okay, so as you can see, it's kind of looking like a wall now. I'm going to wait for this all to dry down, and then I'm going to give it a really light sand. I've got to close up all this stuff. I've got to basically put plastic here, plastic on the floor, leave this door open, have the vacuum running so all that dust goes into there. Went heavy on my seam areas and my messed up areas and the sticky areas, but I've drug a real thin coat over the rest of it. I'm going to end up sanding this down just so the walls kind of blend. Let me just give you a little piece of advice. Your husband likes the camper just the way it is, okay? I see a lot of people on the groups are like, oh, I'm going to paint it this and this and this. Your husband does not care if it's happy teal, happy pink, and it's like happy and cheery refreshing, okay? So he likes it just the way it is. I'm telling you right now, don't spend his hard-earned money ruining his camper by trying to get cute. You're probably thinking, ugh, Victoria, she's such a bitch. I'm not trying to be a bitch, okay? If you've got a 92 camper and it's falling apart and you've got to do stuff like this, I get it, okay? But go neutral. Don't go all crazy, because I'm here to tell you, nobody likes your style. You're not adding value. You want to go super neutral for something that anybody can live in. I mean, yeah, those vintage campers, they're super cute, everything else like that. That's good for a woman that like wants to sell t-shirts and paintings and art out of it at like a show. So you want to know how I know that? It's because I had my motorhome and I went super cute on my motorhome because I thought I was going to keep it. Well, I decided that I didn't want a motorhome. I wanted a camper. So I ended up selling it. Well, not many guys were really interested in getting a camper that was turquoise. So from experience, let me just tell you, not doing that again. Alright, so while all this other stuff's drying, what I'm doing is I'm sanding all these extra areas and trying to get the gloss off. Don't skip this stage with wallpaper. Get that top gloss off the whole thing. The way to tell how this wall's coming along is to just touch it and see if it's still cool. If it's still cool, it's not dry. Let me reiterate on this whole thing about me saying things are not cute and your husband doesn't like it, okay? This is the thing. He's not going to tell you if he doesn't like it because you're so freaking scary when you're mad that he's just going to be like, okay, babe, okay, babe. But every time his friends walk in and you've got some like pastel-y blue shit with sunshine and rainbows all over it, he's like, ugh. Up here, there's a little bit of creasing of the wallpaper, so I'm just going to go over that a little tiny bit and fill in those cracks and then give it a little sand. So where I went light on this is already dry, so I'm just going to go over it with the sander. I'm just cleaning up these edges with the microfiber cloth and just a little tiny bit of water. Just got a little bit of stuff on there, so I want to get that off before doing anything else. You don't want to like hit this with the sandpaper because it'll ruin the wood. So keep one of these nearby. I actually keep one of these in the back of my truck because it gets out sand and everything else. But as I'm going along, I just am cleaning up any sort of chunks that have fallen, because you will walk in this. You may think, oh no, I won't, but you will. See how this part is white and it feels like it's just room temperature? And then see right here, you got this circle that looks kind of gray, still wet. The things that I have on hand, obviously a sanding block, some microfiber rags, my lightweight joint compound, the spackle thingy. I use this just in case I need to get into any seams, just to kind of flatten them down because it's kind of hard to get in there with the sandpaper. I did buy some texture additive. I highly doubt I'm going to use this because the walls are actually coming out pretty good. Some rollers. I got one of these edgers. I always have one on hand just in case. I don't think I'm going to need it. The shellac primer, a brush, a roller. Of course, I've got my box. So I sanded these pretty well. I don't normally take anything off unless it's super easy. These just have some little finishing nails in them, so I'm just going to run a line of paint down there, which will be nice to go behind. Right now I'm going to work on the primer. Remember, do everything in a box. Alright, so I got my first coat of primer on. Let me just tell you, this stuff is watery. So it's not like working with a paint. So you want to start by painting the top parts, and then in case anything drips down, you can quickly like sweep it up. But this is almost like a glue. So it kind of looks like I didn't go all the way up to the edges, or see right here how I didn't get super close. Well, I've got a quarter of a can of primer left. I'm going to take it to the hardware store. When I get the paint, I'm going to have that tinted because it's tintable. So that way I only have to edge once. If you get the white stuff all the way up close and you have to go back over the white, go back over that. So just have the rest of your primer tinted to the same color you're going to paint the walls. Then do the edges first with the tinted primer. So I got my paint. I went with the interior latex eggshell. Latex can go over this shellac, so can oil-based. I get 2 of these little quart ones because I know I'm going to use at least one of these. If I happen to need some more, I'll have another can, but if not, I won't have to open it, and I'll have it for touch-ups later on down the road. Okay, so just as an example, I've used a roller and I've got my first coat of the regular paint. Now I'm going to go back in with this 1.5 inch brush, and I'm going to put this in my primer that has been tinted the same as the wall color. So first coat, primer with the tint to do the edges. Okay, so the first coat, it's going to look horrible. You're going to see your primer edges because that's obviously a little bit lighter. You're going to see thinner areas and everything. Let that dry. Don't paint over it when it's wet. Be patient. All right. So it looks a million times better. Oh Lord, this is a lot of work. It took about 3 coats and the edging was pretty darn terrible. But it looks better.